on their city streets. Well, they're not having it anymore. They booed him, they whistled him, they called for his resignation at the actual memorial after the Nice attack. So you're starting to see somewhat of a shift. It's no longer pray for Nice or hug a Muslim or, oh, let's just blame all this on Western foreign policy and Islamophobia. They're actually starting to get angry. They're actually starting to demand change. So again, we have this situation in France. This is out of RT. Man stabs mom and 3 daughters at French holiday centre over shorts and T-shirts. You remember back last year, we had the report out of Germany where the headmasters at the school sent letters out to parents saying, don't let your children wear short skirts as school uniforms. Don't let them wear shorts, because they put a migrant centre in the gymnasium on the school property. So again, they don't have to assimilate to our culture, but we need to cover up our children Sharia law style so the culturally enriching Muslim migrants don't rape them. Now, these children, one of them is basically in intensive care on the verge of death. A 37-year-old man identified as Mohammed B, imagine my shock, has stabbed a mother and her 3 daughters at a vacation centre in southeast France for being dressed too lightly, local authorities said. The man attacked the woman and her daughters aged 8, 12 and 14 in the resort town of Laragne-Montaglin in the Hautes-Alpes region of France, outraged at the fact that they were wearing shorts and T-shirts. And the authorities are all, oh, we don't know if there's a religious motive here. We're back live on the Alex Jones Show. So basically, in summary, you had a 17-year-old Afghan migrant who had entered Germany 2 years previously, shouting Allah Akbar while hacking people with an axe on a train. Before the attack, he had posted that he wanted to punish the, quote, enemies of Islam and that he wanted to kill the infidels. Again, nothing to do with Islam. We can blame this on Western foreign policy. We can blame it on Islamophobia. Anything so we can continue to stick our heads in the sand as this happens on a daily basis now. Almost on a daily basis. We talked about France being hit with an attack on a bi-monthly basis. You take Europe as a whole, it's almost becoming a daily occurrence, because today, again, it's been revealed that Mohammed B stabbed a mother and 3 daughters. One of those daughters, an 8-year-old girl, is in critical condition. Again, stabbed them because they weren't covered up, because they weren't wearing hijabs, because they were, quote, lightly dressed at the height of frigging summer in a southeastern French holiday resort. And, oh, we don't know his motivation. We don't know if there was a religious motivation. He's called Mohammed B. He's from Morocco, which is 98.7% Sunni Muslim population. Oh, I wonder what the motivation is. I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. But again, nothing to do with Islam. So long as we keep repeating that claim, we can continue to bury our heads in the sand, have Stockholm syndrome, and pretend that this isn't a massive problem. So you had the axe attack. You had another stabbing. Bearing in mind, again, that ISIS has told its adherents to carry out stabbing attacks. And again, after every single attack, you hear, well, he wasn't an ISIS member. You don't have to be an ISIS member to be inspired by its hateful rhetoric and ideology. This is not a group. It's only a militant group if you're out there fighting in Syria or in Iraq. There are probably hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people living in the West right now who are inspired by this rhetoric. We saw the polls out of France, 35% of Muslims in France support suicide bombings under some circumstances. You look at young people, that figure climbs to 42%. So you don't have to be a member, an actual member of ISIS in contact with ISIS commanders for this to be a problem. We hear that after every single attack. And again, it's a way to deny that this is an issue. It doesn't matter if they're directly in contact with ISIS people, if they're following ISIS commands to the letter in carrying out these attacks, then what's the difference? Now, after the axe attack in Germany, you had Renata Kunast, this prominent left-wing politician, actually put out a tweet saying, why did they have to shoot dead the axe terrorist in Germany? I mean, he was only hacking people with an axe. It may have been Islamophobic for the police to actually shoot him dead. She actually put out that tweet. This is the attitude amongst the left wing in German politics. We've seen Green Party members get up in front of the German parliament and say, in 20 years, there'll no longer be a German majority in major German cities. And that's a good thing, really. That's a good thing, is it? Over 1,000 women molested and raped in Cologne. That's a good thing. Hundreds more in Hamburg on the same night. This mass cover-up of this crime wave that's going on, that's all a good thing, according to the left. Because, again, many of them have aligned themselves with Islamists because they both hate the West. Now, I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. I mean, look at this article out of the Daily Caller. Media paints Steve King as racist for defending Western civilization. He actually got up on MSNBC and said, well, yeah, actually, Western civilization has contributed quite a lot to the development of humanity throughout history. Oh, my God, what a racist. I mean, I've got an entire list of what the Greek society, the Greek civilization alone contributed to Western civilization, to human development. Typography, poetry, the science of philosophy, humanism, democracy, the development of mathematics, the alphabet, the Hippocratic Oath, the science of history, logic, the science of anthropology, the Olympic Games, the thermometer, central heating, geometry, the invention of cartography. You can go on for an hour listing what Western civilization has contributed to the development of humanity. Is it racist to simply bring that up? Well, yes, according to MSNBC. Yes, according to Chris Hayes. This guy is a racist, a white supremacist, merely for suggesting that Western civilization had a positive role in the development of humanity. The left has aligned itself with Islamists. They both hate the West. We'll be back. We're back on the 4th hour overdrive of the Alex Jones Show. And talking about the religion of peace, perhaps we should do a weekly segment here called This Week in Death Threats. You remember I talked about this last week? Well, on Sunday evening, after the Baton Rouge murder of 3 cops, again by somebody obsessed with Black Lives Matter issues, you know, I put out the article, people on Twitter celebrating the deaths of these cops. Well, that resulted in more threats. They actually said that they had my address. These were people in London. You could tell that they were in London by their Twitter profiles, sending me private messages saying, yeah, basically, we know where you are and we're coming to get you. And people say, well, why don't you report it to the police? If I spent my time reporting these threats to the police, that's all I'd do. I wouldn't have time for anything else because it's almost on a daily basis now. And you think of those people who, you know, actually go out to these Draw Mohammed cartoon events, actually get out in public, you know, people like Pamela Geller, people like Tommy Robinson. Just imagine the volume of death threats that they get. Yet they're out in public, in many cases without security. They put up with it. Muslim reformists like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, her colleague, was killed on the streets of Amsterdam simply for being her colleague, simply because she's an ex-Muslim who speaks out against things like honor killings, things like Sharia law, simply says we need to reform Islam. Her colleague, again, killed on the streets of Amsterdam. So if those people can put up with it, then I can put up with it. So I'm not going to waste my time reporting this to the police. Again, in 99% of cases, it's going to be completely aimless anyway. It's people trying to intimidate you. This is what the left does best. But it's funny just to highlight this and to showcase it because, again, we saw, you know, after Gamergate, after all these other issues, these controversies, oh, the violent right wing is harassing people on Twitter. They're so misogynistic. They're so hateful. They're so intolerant. Well, I mean, just go and search assassinate Trump. Go and search kill Trump on Twitter. At any minute of the day, you will find hundreds of people threatening to do it, or at least asking other people to do it. The left is the most violent and intolerant group in society today. Yes, there are some crazy people on the right wing. There are some crazy neo-Nazis. But by and large, actual physical violent threats, they come from the left. They come from Islamists. I'm talking about the religion of peace. Well, this individual contacted me because he was so upset about me saying in a YouTube video that Islam is not a religion of peace, that he would kill me to prove that it was a religion of peace. This message was sent to me last night. F you, mother effer. How dare you say that Islam is not a religion of peace? I will come to your house and kill you. So he's going to prove that Islam is non-violent by violently killing me. Okay, that makes sense. And that's just a taste of it. This is almost on a daily basis now. And again, I'm not going to call the police because it's just a complete waste of time. If somebody had my exact address and they were saying, this is where you live, I'm going to come and get you now, then maybe. But this is just to showcase what people who speak out against the violent intolerance of Black Lives Matter, against the violent and intolerant aspects of Islam, this is what they go through. And in many cases, they remain completely silent about it. Meanwhile, over on the left, the feminists, the anti-Gamergate people, constantly whining and whinging, trying to classify criticism of their lame, stupid arguments as cyberbullying and harassment, going in front of the UN and putting pressure on governments to regulate the internet so people can be censored for criticizing feminists. That's what they see as harassment. That's what they see as cyberbullying. Meanwhile, you know, people like Tommy Robinson, people like Pamela Geller, whether you like them or not, every single day bombarded with death threats, threats of physical violence. It's the complete double standard and hypocrisy of the tolerant left, which in reality is completely intolerant. This is out of the Mirror. Nice ISIS attacker seen in chilling selfie posing by truck he used to kill 48 people. And so the narrative again, oh, he was so depressed. His wife had left him 2 years previously. You know, maybe it was road rage. Maybe it was workplace violence. After all, you know, he was just delivering ice cream. That's why they let him on the road in the first place. Maybe it was nothing to do with Islam. These are the chilling selfies Bastille Day killer Mohammed Lahoulej Boulel took with the truck he used to massacre his 84 victims. The grinning Tunisian posed with a pal inside and outside the 19-ton white lorry just days before the atrocity. In one, he holds his middle finger up inside the cab, and in the other, he smiles as he stands next to the vehicle. And of course, he sent these photos out to his friends, out to his family. Didn't look to be too depressed at the time again, just days before he engaged in that horrific rampage. Here's a video I put together in the aftermath of the Nice attacks, called Nice Terrorist Attack, What They're Not Telling You. Here's the clip. Well, yet again, here I am talking about the religion of peace. People are asking, why does France keep getting attacked? I'll tell you why. Because of spineless so-called leaders like Hollande and French Prime Minister Manuel Valls, who actually said today that France must learn to live with terrorism. To a jihadist, that's like a red flag to a bull. It's total capitulation. If you're prepared to tolerate little children getting crushed by lorries on the streets of major cities, what else are you willing to tolerate? Sharia law, Islamists in positions of political power, areas of Europe becoming Islamic caliphates. When Islamists hear things like what Valls said, they smell blood in the water. They know they're winning. That's why France keeps getting attacked. The terrorists are winning. They're winning because they're protected by a left-wing denial industry based around Stockholm Syndrome, apologia, and bedwetting. A president who daren't use the term Islamic terrorism.
The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam.
A presidential candidate who says that Islam has nothing to do with terrorism. A media that is so afraid to use the M word or the I word, they'd rather blame an inanimate object. Trucks don't kill people. The ideology of Islam kills people. What are you going to do? Ban assault trucks? A media that bombards us with an image of a dead boy on a beach in Turkey to shame the West into accepting millions of Muslim migrants because it fits their agenda, while refusing to broadcast the images of dead children in Nice because it might upset someone.